I can't believe it's taken this long, but I finally get Xenoverse. Now, we all like Xenoverse for the same obvious things. You can create your Dragon Ball character and customize them. Well, that's the obvious stuff at least, but that's why Xenoverse didn't last too much for me. Now, recently, I decided to give Xenoverse another go with the PlayStation 5 release, and my community gave me a list of things to complete in order to become a true Xenoverse fan. And today we're checking one of those off of the list because I am done with story mode. Now, the story mode of Xenoverse 2 was always a big scam to me. It was one of the big reasons why I didn't vibe with the game at all, because back when it came out, we had all just finished playing the first Xenoverse. A lot of people might not remember this because it happened in ancient history, but back in Xenoverse 1, the whole story was about you as a time patroller going back in time and fixing the Dragon Ball canon, because history was changing and apparently that was a very bad thing. So when you start playing Xenoverse 2, and here we go again fighting against Raditz, bro, why did you just sell me the same game again? These two games did not come out super far apart from each other either. But now looking back, I am more convinced than ever before that Xenoverse 2 is the exact same game that they wanted to make the first Xenoverse. They just didn't have the resources back then and they didn't build the first Xenoverse to last. To be perfectly clear with you, I look back now and I don't feel like Xenoverse 2 was a scam. The first Xenoverse was the actual scam. Playing this game, all these years later, it is clear that they developed this game to be what Xenoverse 1 couldn't, but to me, there was still a big hurdle to overcome: the story. I hate this story. Xenoverse lore is kind of in line with Dragon Ball Heroes lore, which puts Dragon Ball characters in all sorts of alternate timelines, creating new versions of all the characters you love. And while that multiverse kind of approach sounds interesting for Dragon Ball, the stories are always made as some sort of cross-promotion. Something made to sell toys or cards or whatever merchandise they need to move. And the result is that a lot of the unspoken rules of Dragon Ball end up being broken in favor of making Dragon Ball characters battle some random opponents, featuring as many transformations and fusions as possible. I always thought these stories kind of spit in the original work, like they decided to disregard the plot in favor of advertising. And while that is, well, exactly what those are, I mean very blatantly too, when it comes to video games, I think we are all kind of tired of just replaying the Dragon Ball story. We have played this story time and time again, why are we doing it again? And it's also why I'm excited to play the what-if scenarios of Sparking Zero. So the Xenoverse story has a really unique chance here to give you a bunch of cool what-if scenarios, as long as they stay away from the stuff that makes the hero story so terrible, like random characters popping up out of nowhere doing absolutely nothing and then just disappearing again, or characters getting a random power-up that feels like an advertisement rather than something that the plot actually justified. And I can already see this game is doing all of those things, isn't it? Okay, so Trunks is recruiting time patrollers, which we gotta make our own. We're gonna play as a Saiyan this time, called Aubergine. But you can replace this guy with whatever created character you want. To understand this story, we gotta meet the Supreme Kai of Time. She's important because actually, she's not important at all. She's just a quest giver. And the other Kai is also there. Much like Xenoverse 1, you are returning history to what it should be. And the people changing history are mainly these two original characters, Towa and Mira. Or Mira and Towa. I mix up the two all the time. I'm sorry. Now, in this game, they have recruited the help of Turles and Slug, which was really clever to me, and you'll know why once we reach Namek. Until then, they give you a pretty straightforward formula to the story. You see, Raditz here isn't defeated by Goku and Piccolo because Towa or someone else has powered up Raditz. He is stronger, and so he can survive that encounter, and that's why you're here to help, to balance the scales once again and return things to normal. And you can see these villains getting a power-up because they have these purple auras, and we all know purple is evil. That's why it's called villainous mode, just in case it wasn't obvious enough. Now, I usually think that these random power-ups are super lame. In Dragon Ball, we usually have an idea of how powerful a transformation is. Saiyans become much stronger with Super Saiyan, but that's nothing if you're an android. Super Saiyan 2 clearly smokes the androids though, but Majin Buu can handle that easily. Even Super Saiyan 3 against Buu might be a tough matchup. There's some wiggle room, obviously, but in general, we have an idea of how powerful someone is. When you add a random power-up like Purple Evil Aura to the mix, it feels, one, very convenient to the plot, because you just get to power up anyone at will without having to justify it at all. Yeah, super convenient. And two, completely random as far as power goes. Because it's a power increase on top of a character's natural power, it just becomes hard to define how strong it actually makes someone. So it ends up making someone exactly as strong as they need someone to be for the plot. It doesn't matter if you have the power of the gods, they got the purple aura. And I absolutely hated this power-up in Xenoverse 2. That is, until we reach... I loved how clever they started being in Namek, because instead of just powering up your enemies with random auras, they actually got creative. Like, what if both Dodoria and Zarbon chased Gohan and Krillin? In the show, only Dodoria follows, so when Krillin uses Solar Flare, they're able to get away. In this game, he uses Solar Flare, but Zarbon still intercepts them. This is the kind of what-if story that I like to see, using a small change in history to significantly alter the timeline. It's the kind of clever writing that I love to see in Xenoverse. Never mind, they gave Dodoria the purple in the end. Now, if you're anything like me, you question why things are happening during a story. And during this entire time, I've been asking myself a question. Why the hell did Towa recruit Turtles and Lord Slug out of all people? Why did she kidnap Bardock and put this weird mask on him at the very start of the game? I mean, I like the cutscene, don't get me wrong, but what's the plot here? And this is when one of those characters actually starts to make sense, as we see Turtles giving Barter and Jice the fruit from the Tree of Might. And after they eat it, they gain the purple aura. That's genius! Turns out the purple aura isn't just some wishy-washy power, it's something that we knew about all along. It's the whole reason why Towa recruited Turtles. He knows the tree and the fruit well, and that's how the villains are getting these power-ups. See, I know the movies aren't canon, but this is exactly what I'd like to see in a what-if story. It's utilizing elements from Dragon Ball that we already know about. And Dragon Ball has so much source material to pull from that you really don't need to make up any sort of magical power-up to tell a story. If you know Dragon Ball well enough, you can tell a story with only elements that we already know. That makes for a story that is so much clever. And I am so glad that they did this for the Villainous Mode transformation. What's that? Villainous Mode is taken on by several individuals when they are placed under Towa or Demigras dark magic or by eating the fruit of the Tree of Might. Bro, why? This random dark magic power happens to have the exact same effect as the fruit of the Tree of Might. I liked your story, Xenoverse. I liked it. For about 2 seconds. Turtles finally made sense for this story, but having now finished the whole thing, I still don't know why they recruited Lord Slug or even Bardock. They mostly just lose fights. But that's not everyone Towa recruited. She also got cooler. Frieza could not believe it.
Is that you?
The story gets pretty boring at this point in my opinion, because they really get into that random enemy aspect of Dragon Ball Heroes. There aren't many clever history changes during both the Cell or the Buu arcs, it's mostly just villainous energy and random opponents thrown into the battle. I mean, any particular reason why we should throw Mira into the Cell games? What about Metal Cooler? Any particular reason why Broly shouldn't join the Majin Vegeta fight? And they virtually have no impact in the story either, because they show up, get beaten, and disappear. Their impact on the plot is the same as just giving the enemies the purple auras, except this time they have a mark on their forehead, so you know they are even more villainous. The Future Trunks saga actually got a good cutscene, and I thought we were in for a good story since this is the timeline that Trunks is originally from. Trunks has been by our side during this whole time. He's one of the main time patrollers in the Xenoverse world. But other than Trunks actually wanting to change history so Gohan doesn't die again, this was pretty thin on the plot. Obviously, Gohan dying was a painful moment for Trunks, but ultimately, the way they deal with Trunks making peace with that is by just making Trunks think. Yeah, just use your brain, Trunks. But after fixing so many moments in history, we gotta wonder, when do we win? Because we just keep fixing things, and they just keep breaking them. So are we winning or just delaying the inevitable here? And that's when we find out the true goal of Towa. It's not to break history, but to use the energy that we're spending to fix it in order to restore the Demon Realm. Yep, turns out that she and Dabura are from the same place, and she wants to merge the Demon Realm with the real world. And to do that, she needs a lot of energy. And apparently we're giving that to her somehow. I see it as something similar to Bobby D gathering energy from the Vegeta vs. Goku fight in order to resurrect Majin Buu. I don't know exactly how he was gathering that energy, but I guess it was floating in the air somehow, so he gathered it through Wi-Fi. They even allude to it in Xenoverse when Bardock brings back that Majin lamp full of energy. Which was another great callback. If you need to gather energy to resurrect the Demon Realm, why not use something that was already established? No? We're just gonna use that to power up Mira? Why, did you run out of dark magic already? We find out about Towa's real objectives. close to another monumental happening in the world of Xenoverse. One that honestly is not given enough weight by the story or cutscenes at all. This bird right here might as well be the most powerful being in the Dragon Ball universe, second only to Zeno, and I am not kidding. The Supreme Kai of Time, once in a while, talks about Toki Toki, which is this bird's name. Toki Toki is getting ready to hatch an egg. Toki Toki's eggs contain the entire time for a whole universe. Okay, so think about Beerus. Pretty powerful guy, right? We all agree on that. Mostly because he could destroy the whole universe if he wanted to. Well, this bird's egg, not even the bird itself, just the egg, can create an entire universe plus an entire timeline. Beerus can't even destroy time. This bird's egg is more powerful than Beerus. It's kind of the inverse power, it's creation instead of destruction. And yeah, I bet Beerus could knock this bird senseless if he wanted to. But then again, if you think about what's contained in one egg of this bird, the bird could basically just create an entire army of Super Saiyan gods. An entire army of Jirens. It's the entire universe in a single egg. Maybe the bird is more powerful than Beerus. As far as power goes, creating an entire universe is something that probably only Zeno can do in Dragon Ball. And even then, I'm not sure he can. So I'm sure that this egg and the Demon Realm plan that Towa has will remain completely unrelated, right? I'm sure they showed up next to each other for no reason. The Beerus and Golden Frieza movies are a bit more interesting in Xenoverse because the thing about Beerus and Whis is that they exist outside of time. They are in the realm of gods, so if something gets changed, they can see it happening. It's not like you can just rewind and mess with Beerus in a way. And so the way they go about changing the timeline for both movies had to be a bit more clever. They basically found a way to keep Beerus and Whis distracted so they wouldn't be there on Earth to rewind time when Frieza destroyed the planet, which I thought was genius. Until I thought again, because time travel is a thing, you can just go back to the past and make sure they're there. Everything is fixed. Nice try, I guess. Oh yeah, Cooler is still here. We've defeated him like 3 times already, but it just keeps coming. Somehow, no one recognized Bardock until we broke his mask. And turns out, the mask was also keeping Bardock under mind control. So we break the mask and he's a good guy again. Now, our final fight against Mira, we win in the game but lose in the cutscene. Towa opens a portal to the space between dimensions. I don't know what that is, but it sounds scary. But Bardock, now free from mind control, puts Mira in a headlock and takes him there instead. Bardock has saved us, and I'm sure we'll never see Mira again. But as this happens, Towa reveals one final trump card. She has gained control of him. Oh god, I forgot to tell you about him. We're gonna call this guy John Xenoverse. Basically, he is the character that Q made in Xenoverse 1. He's kind of a hero in this world because he already protected history just like you're doing right now. And you can actually import your character from the first Xenoverse into the second one. Except I played Xenoverse 1 on PC, so instead of importing Son Globku, I just picked one of the presets. And now she's taken control of that preset, but just like everyone else, we are able to free him from her control by fighting him enough. And then she just deletes him from existence. Like straight up, he fades away from existing. Everyone forgets about him ever being someone. This is more than just simply killing someone. This is erasing someone from history. Why does she have that kind of power? Now, because we forgot about John Xenoverse, we still took the mask back with us to the base. And thanks to the mask, Towa was able to infiltrate the Time Nest, which is where we keep all of our time scrolls, and she steals the Toki Toki egg. That was her plan all along. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. It was her plan to recruit all those villains, have them be defeated, gather all that energy from Mira so that we would free Bardock from mind control and the two of them would become trapped in the space between dimensions so she could summon John Xenoverse, delete him from existence, knowing that we would take his mask back to the Time Nest. Towa is the smartest character alive. With the egg, she brings back Mira from the space between dimensions. And as he's about to kill my character Aubergine, what? What do you mean? Who are you? I thought you got deleted from existence. How are you back? They actually never explained this, and it bothers me to this day. We defeat Mira again, but at this point he goes, you know what? I also like the power. So he turns against Towa and absorbs her own creator along with the time egg. Do you know how much power he just absorbed? He just became the most powerful being in the Dragon Ball universe. A furry. But it's fine. Goku is here, so we win. He punched the egg out of the furry, man. Anyway, how does this whole thing end? Well, we gather the Dragon Balls and ask Shenron for a big feast to celebrate. Yo, just make the dumbest wish since Oolong. Now, this is where most people stopped. This is the story that most players saw, but I have gone even further beyond. I have protected the Namekian Dragon Balls more time than I can count. I have fed these Majin children candy. So much candy. And that has unlocked this game's 2 new missions exist outside of time. One of them, we play as Bardock. It seems that what happens in the space between dimensions isn't something that can be defined by a timeline. You don't have a fixed order of events or a fixed time. Anything could happen in here. And this being Dragon Ball, naturally, Bardock is going to fight Mira, but he's going to do a lot more than fight. He's going to break the speedrunning world record for Super Saiyan 3 any percent. I have never seen anyone power up to Super Saiyan 3 so quickly, god damn! We know how this ends for Mira, he gets pulled out of that dimension, but what happened to Bardock is still a mystery. And for the second mission, we have another time pocket, which is the Future Trunks timeline, which I thought we did already, what the hell? Well, this time Trunks actually changes the past and saves Gohan. It did what no time patroller should ever do, he actually changed history. The Supreme Kai of Time asks us what we should do. We should fix the timeline like we've been doing this entire game! What's the question? According to the wiki, most players said to leave history changed. And I did too, before I played it again to find out what the other choice does, and it's basically a fake choice. In the end, she just says,
"But the final decision is still mine."
So who knows what consequences will actually come out of this. But I think I get Xenoverse now. I get what I like about it and what I don't like about it. And that's good, because now I know what I would like to see in DLC as I start playing those. I have no clue what the DLC holds for me, but I don't think story DLC should be too hard to make for Xenoverse. If we can choose a specific arc to cover, we don't have to rush through it as much as we just did in story mode. And we can be a bit more clever with small changes in history causing big changes over time. So I'm excited to continue my Xenoverse 2 journey, and if you want to follow along, make sure to subscribe. And for more Xenoverse 2, you can check out me picking up the game for the first time on PS5. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.